has a lot of spiders, but recently we found a new one, because of course we fucking did. And the new one is the most certified Australian moment I've ever seen. For a bit of context, one of the several thousand spider species we are home to is the Sydney funnelweb, the deadliest spider on the planet. Because of course it's down here. Where the fuck else did you think you were going to find it? These scary looking fuckers are highly venomous and can flatline you with a bite in 15 minutes. And if you think wearing thick clothes will save you, be aware the bastards have fangs long enough to punch through shoe leather. Now, why do I bring these little nightmares up? What is the one thing worse than a spider rocking armour-piercing rounds that can send you to heaven with same-day delivery? A bigger spider rocking the same perk setup. That's right, Australian scientists have found a brand new species of this funnelweb that is even bigger. How much bigger? Well, the standard Sydney funnelweb grows to around 5 centimetres or 2 inches. And I mean, if you're asking me, 2 inches is more than enough. 2 inches is actually fucking huge. By comparison, this is the new one. It's twice the fucking size, cunt. 4 inches of 8-legged menace to the animal kingdom. But that isn't even the best part. You see, do you know what they named this thing? Do you know what professional scientists named a supersized version of the most dangerous spider on the entire fucking planet? The Newcastle Big Boy. Deadliest spider on the entire fucking globe. Big Boy. Only in Australia. There was actually a soldier. But how? You see, it was 1942 and the 22nd Polish Artillery Company were passing through the mountains of Iran on their way to the front lines to fight the Nazis. While passing through a town on their way, they were stopped by a young Iranian shepherd looking to trade with them for rations and a Swiss Army knife. When the Poles asked what he had to offer in return, the young shepherd produced a burlap sack containing an orphaned Syrian brown bear cub. You see, this bear's mother was shot by hunters, which is how he ended up in a low-tech Pokeball being offered as a trade deal. The Polish looked at the bear and, clearly seeing the potential for insane dad lore, said, "Damn good deal." And in the most worthwhile trade deal in history, parted ways with their supplies in exchange for a f***ing Pokemon, adopting him into their ranks and naming him Wojtek. And the 22nd immediately set about raising this little man as a proper bear and soldier. Maggots! As a baby, they would feed him condensed milk out of an empty vodka bottle, as well as feeding him on the cartoon bear diet consisting of fruit, honey and marmalade. They also appointed a soldier as his caretaker who wasted no time in showing Wojtek how to fit in with the rest of the army, teaching Yogi's little cousin to wave, salute and even march. While not undergoing rigorous military training, Wojtek would hang out with the soldiers. He drank coffee with them in the morning, trained with them in the day, and when they all got shit-faced in the evening, he would wrestle with them. Do you know how much a brown bear has to love you to wrestle you? On top of double rations, they would also feed Wojtek treats in the form of beer and cigarettes. They let the bear have smoko. Eventually, Army High Command heard about this and were having absolutely none of it. You see, pets were not allowed in the army, which meant Wojtek had to go. Or did he? Because the 22nd Artillery Company officially enlisted him.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part.
Wojtek was given a serial number and granted the rank of private, so when confronted about the very conspicuous bear in their ranks, they simply went, "That's not a bear, that's Private Wojtek." And Wojtek took his new role very seriously, as during the Battle of Monte Cassino in 1944, Wojtek began using his bulk to transport artillery shells and ammo to soldiers engaged in combat. They had a fucking resupply bear. For his bravery, he was promoted to the rank of corporal, and the 22nd changed their insignia to a bear carrying an artillery shell. This absolute unit smoked, drank, and dropped artillery on the Nazis. Based. This is the deadliest snake in the world. Introducing the inland tapen, and being the deadliest venom noodle in the world, I will give you exactly one guess as to where it's found. It's Australia, of course, it's fucking Australia. Be so serious here. Where the f else did you think you were going to find it? Canada? More specifically, as the name suggests, the tapen is found inland in the outback. Luckily, extremely far from civilization, because this homicidal hospital hose is the definition of size doesn't matter. Because despite having extremely small fangs for a venomous snake, coming in at only 6.2 millimeters, the tapen is here to show you that you absolutely can feel less than an inch, because those fangs contain the statistically deadliest snake venom on the fucking planet. Yeah, tapehead venom is a pina colada of pain, containing, but not limited to, hemotoxins to cause blood clots, myotoxins for paralysis and necrosis, nephrotoxins to shut down your kidneys, and 3 different kinds of neurotoxin. Needless to say, if it bites you, you will get a headache, vomit up the entire contents of your stomach, collapse to the ground in agonising pain, and then your heart and lungs will stop, sending you to meet God in under 15 minutes. And that venom is so fucking potent that one bite contains enough toxin to do that to 100 people. But the funniest part of this snake's venom is that in the wild, they only hunt rats and fucking mice. The deadliest venom on the planet, and they are using it to pack up Remy the rat. It's like hunting a rabbit with a fucking AWP.
That's the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Counter-terrorist win. This bird can straight hit you with a Mortal Kombat fatality. Introducing the cassowary, a species of ratite native to the land down under. And for once, guys, it's not venomous. Can still flatline you though, and I'm going to tell you how. You see, these neon chickens belong to the same family of birds as the emu, and as such share their impressive size, coming in at a solid 79 kilos and growing up to 6 feet tall, meaning the short kings in my audience could, in theory, mount these things like a chocobo. But what makes them stick out from emus? Well, you see, the cassowary is basically a spec ops emu, being twice the weight, highly territorial, and most importantly, coming with a combat knife strapped to their foot. That's right, this is a cassowary claw, and it's the reason they can hit you with a fighting game finisher. You see, these claws are a full 5 inches long. You know, I mean, honestly, 5 inches, way too big for anything, and especially for something that's going inside me. And if you anger the tactical assault turkey, that is exactly what you're gonna get, as their go-to defense method is to kick you square in the gut with that kitchen knife and attempt to disembowel you. And I mean, even if the kick doesn't put your insides on the outsides, that kick is still going to send you flying, which can cause some fairly major problems. Problems like the incident that occurred in 2012, where I you not, a cassowary ran up behind a random tourist, hit the heavy attack button, and kicked the guy down a small cliff into the ocean. I mean, luckily he survived, but the fact that I live in a country where at any point I could be hit with a sneak attack by a kaiju turtle is terrifying. Australia lost a war to emus. But how? How the did we lose an armed conflict with flightless birds? Well, it all started in 1932 when farmers in Western Australia wanted to grow wheat. There was just one major problem. That's emu territory, and emus really like wheat. And coming in at 6 foot tall and 40 kilos in weight, they can eat a lot of it. So when breeding season came around, the emus migrated through the farmland, and these poor farmers were overwhelmed by a tyrannid swarm of man-sized poultry, 20,000 emus strong. These feathered tanks then proceeded to completely steamroll through the fences into the field fields and started laying waste to the wheat. The farmers attempted to fight back the initial wave with rifle fire, but their efforts were, putting it lightly, completely useless. This ginormous L made the farmers pretty bloody angry, so they gathered together and went to the government to ask for help. Sir, 20,000 emus have hit the wheat fields. Me, mate. And so the government declared the emus enemies of the state and sent in the army to commence the Great Emu War. The entire 7th Heavy Artillery Division was deployed to WA, armed with 2 LMGs, 10,000 rounds, and the sole objective to blast anything with feathers. A little bit excessive for an overgrown turkey if you ask me, and upon their first deployment, the army immediately ran into a major problem. Emus are fast. I am speed. Really fast, clocking a top speed of 50 kilometres an hour, which meant that once they opened fire, the emus would immediately bolt out of range of their weapons. But they still took a crack at it, and then immediately stopped when both LMGs jammed after only dropping 12 emus. This embarrassment led the army to retreat and rethink their plan. So a few weeks later they returned, this time mounting the LMGs on trucks in an attempt to run the birds down. However, this also didn't work, because after figuring out that those trucks meant they were about to be turned into a KFC family bucket, the emus started leaving scout birds who would warn the flock of the approaching trucks, which gave them all enough time to book it before the army even got there. And whenever they did catch the emus, they found out they were kind of... Because emus are mostly feathers, and there's a lot of places you can hit on them without doing any damage, meaning it was taking around 10 bullets for every one bird. So after a month of blood, sweat, tears, and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, the army managed to bring down 960. The population was 20,000. This was an issue as, unlike America, our defence budget is not a bottomless pit. So the army had wasted all that money to achieve absolutely all. So the government just kind of built a really long, really shit fence around the farms and called it a day. How the did we lose this? I could have done a better job with a boomerang and a cricket bat. Australia lost a war. Bird has to rearrange its organs and skeleton just to lay an egg. This cute little guy is the kiwi bird, a species of ratite native to New Zealand this time, and the absolute poster child for getting cucked by evolution. You see, this walking featherball is actually directly related to the emu, ostrich, and cassowary, being a member of the same family of flightless birds. However, there is a problem. You see, the rest of the kiwi's bloodline actually looked up a build guide before picking their stat spread, and as such made sure to trade the whole flying thing for something useful, with all of his cousins specking into speed, size, and some kind of offensive capability. So that leaves the question, what did the kiwi pick to make up for not flying? Absolutely nothing. Kiwis are tiny in comparison to their relatives, coming in at only 4 kilos in weight and 50 centimetres tall. This is because kiwis evolved largely on an island with no natural predators, so they downsized and traded out the knife feet and bloodlust for just being a little guy with a good attitude, which honestly worked pretty well for them. Until the British did British things, and now they have to deal with cats and dogs trying to eat them. And considering this build was not designed for PvP, they have been clapped so hard by invasive species that they are now unfortunately an endangered animal. But getting shafted by the British is just the beginning of the generational violation of the kiwi, because these poor feathered fruits can't even reproduce without getting f***ed over. You see, the kiwi bird's cousins are famous for laying huge eggs. I'm talking hit your protein macros in one meal-sized eggs, and you would think that is because they are large. And you would be wrong, because their vertically challenged cousins have to lay eggs the same size. A kiwi bird lays eggs 20% the size of their body. With the egg being so bloody large, it rearranges their internal organs and stretches their rib cage just to be able to hold the thing. For reference, that is like a human giving birth to a 15-kilo child. That's not a bun in the oven anymore. That's a whole f***ing bakery. This bird has to